Hey guys, welcome back to Bikinis After Babies, our podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mandy Rashawn, here with your other fabulous host.
Hey everybody, this is Gillian Hughes. I'm so excited to be here today and I'm really happy that you've joined us. If you came back to our podcast, welcome back. If you're a first time listener, welcome to Bikinis After Babies. We're so excited that you're here and we're excited for today's episode.
Yeah, if you listen to our last episode, we kind of talked about quite a few different things. And so, really, we wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into one of the topics that we touched on last week. And that is how it is really never too late to start in the sport of bikini bodybuilding and wellness, of course. But how it doesn't matter how old you are or how many kids you have and stretch marks, cellulite, how much you weigh. Like, if you want to do a competition, if you want to step on stage, you can do it. And that's something that we really wanted to touch on today. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into
Yeah,
it. Yeah, because
me
I've always
too.
competed. Yeah, I've competed with kids or with my son always. And Jillian, you've done both. So it's kind of, it'd be
Yeah.
neat to kind of pick your brain on, the different mindset, of no
hmm
kids to kids.
Yeah, I'm bikinis before babies and bikinis after babies. So, also, I just want to say that this podcast is not just for bikini competitors. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in women's bodybuilding or wellness or figure or fitness or bikini. We all wear a bikini, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, you might not even be in that particular organization. Maybe you're doing more like pageants, or maybe you just want to look hot in a bikini at the pool this summer. This is
Mm-hmm.
for you. We happen to both be bikini competitors. I actually started in fitness and then I went to figure. So, I don't think that the information is that different, but certainly if you're like a female bodybuilder, figure competitor, wellness, there's definitely podcasts that are specialized for you. We have more for bikini competitors just based on our experience, but I don't want the title of our podcast to scare away anybody that's in another division. And I don't want to feel like we're leaving you out either, because I've got plenty of girls that are listening in that are in wellness and in figure, and this is for you too. So just wanted
Yeah,
to
even
put that out there.
absolutely. Like even if you're just starting to go to the gym, it is extremely intimidating. It like you said, the podcast it's bikinis after babies. Even if you don't like want to step on stage, even if you have no desire to step on stage, it's like how do women who do step on stage, how do they achieve that physique? And it's kind of inspirational like even if you never want to step
Mhm.
on stage, if you never want to have a six pack, but you just want to lose the baby weight or you just want to be more disciplined or you just literally want to know how to eat healthy, this podcast can absolutely help you with that. I've had women come up to me and tell me how, they love our podcast. They tell their clients to listen to our podcast and they're not competitors. They just want to
Mhm.
show their clients that, you know, the gym isn't it seems like an intimidating environment, but really it's the
Mhm.
most friendly environment possible. Like everybody is
Right.
cheering everybody on and every female
Mhm.
is like there for you and excited for you. And so that's like what we kind of want to put out there in the world. And that's like a really important thing with this podcast. I really want women to understand that they're not alone.
Yeah. And you can learn so much from girls that have competed at a high level, um, because all of the things that they do in their daily life to prioritize their nutritional needs and their fitness will help you. Like, those are things that really, just taking a few tidbits and tips and tricks here and there will help you on your fitness journey, no matter where you want to go with it. So I think that
Mhm.
this is great information for, just your everyday gym goer or somebody who's looking to take fitness to another level. But today, specifically, we're going to be talking about getting started later, because one question that I get a lot is it too late to start? I'm over 40. I'm 35. I am 30, but I have three children. I've had two C-sections. Um, I have loose skin. I've never done this before and I'm going to be 60
Mhm.
next year. Like, these are a lot of things that people ask me when they're curious about competing. And so we're here today to talk about basically the encouraging information that really anybody can do it. I think
Mhm.
it's just, overall, it's important to have good guidance and to be really persistent. And we're going to talk about some of the concerns that women might have about getting started after having children, or maybe being later in life when they're getting started on their competition journey.
Yeah, so for me personally, I will share a very interesting experience when I first started because I sat down with my husband. I started when I was 26. I had my son, and when I started already as a mom, I think everybody that I had seen compete was younger. They all like were, college kids or, they were early 20s. And I mean, I was 26, but like they didn't have kids. So they got to do like everything kind of on their own. But I I had met some women in different states that had competed with kids or trained with kids, and I'm like, okay, like if they can do it, I can do it. And I remember one
Mhm.
of the I, I paid for a program, bought a coach, worked with a coach, got through it, and I never like I seem to do okay with like planning my schedule around my kids' school schedule, my kids' soccer. Like you said, you kind of have to take responsibility and be like, these is what I have to eat. This is nutritious for me. And so I have to eat this and plan it around your kid. And I remember one of the hardest things to swallow was kind of like the budget for
Mhm.
competing. And I'm so happy I did it when I was a little older, just because it is expensive to compete. Now, when you purchase things, it can last you a while. So, but this was like
Mhm.
your first show, your initial show. And all my training I went through, and I think I was maybe 8 weeks out and 12 weeks out, and I had to purchase my suit. And I was like in tears. Like I was crying because I felt bad spending like that amount of money on myself. And my husband's like, no, we planned for this, we budgeted it, we knew that
Mhm.
this was going to happen. But I was like, I have to hit the button and spend that money. But obviously, you get to reuse the suit and it gets a lot of use and it's worth it. But, you know, it's the sport is very interesting when you get older because you spend time on yourself. You think about yourself and you still think about your
Mhm.
family and care about your family, but you're in this space where you get to prioritize yourself. And as
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen, a lot of women don't do that nowadays. A lot of women do so much for others and they forget about themselves. And the sport, like when you're older, you get to prioritize
Yeah.
yourself. And you're like, yeah, this is good for me. Like this is healthy for me. I'm happy. My family's happy. So I remember that. Ugh.
I think like one thing that stands out about what you said is spousal support is huge
Mm,
because I'm sure we can do a whole episode on this, but if your
I'm sure we
partner,
will.
yeah, I'm sure we will, but I think if your partner doesn't want for you to have that experience because, either they are insecure about their wife or their, the mother of their children or their girlfriend or whoever being the person in a relationship with being on stage in a bikini, that is something that some people might not be able to get around either because of their religious beliefs, their cultural beliefs, whatever it might be. That is like a separate issue in itself. But if there's a dynamic in your relationship where the person that you're with doesn't understand why you would want to do that and doesn't support you in it, it's probably not going to work out, like either the relationship or the competing, because you can't have both. You cannot be in a relationship
Hmm.
with somebody who doesn't support that. And if you really want to do it, like I'm not saying break up with the person that you're with, but I think that's
Hmm.
key that your husband said like this I understand that you want to spend this money. I understand why this is important to you. Like he knew that that was something for you that wasn't just a vanity like, oh, she wants to get up on stage and look hot and everybody tell her how great she looks. Like they
Hmm.
understand the why. I think that's really important because, that's something when I got into my relationship with my current husband, like right from the get-go, I let him know like this is something that I do. Like I know it's new to you, but what do you think about it? And he just thought it was cool. He has always thought about the sport as something very athletic, and he sees all the hard work that goes into it. And he's super proud, and he is, completely fine with, me spending money that we could spend on other things. Was it you that we were talking about the other day? Like adding up what we spent in a season and like just we stopped counting because it had gotten to the point where we could have bought like cruise tickets for our whole family. I don't know who it was I was
Uh,
talking to, but it adds up. Like the year that I
yeah.
did like 3 national shows, I mean, I could have taken all 7 of us on a Disney cruise. Like, it was
It
ridiculous.
does.
And Brian never said don't do it. He understood why that was important to me. And we didn't even reach the goal that year. I was second. I was one spot away from my pro card. And, I felt awful. Like, oh, I've spent all this money and I didn't even turn pro. And he's like, well, then we're just going to have to keep going for it, So I think that's huge. You have to have that support from your family,
Hmm.
from your kids too. You have to have kids that are like, they understand and they cheer you on, that keeps us going, right?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I check in with Carson. So Aaron sounds is just like Brian. I actually had a
Mhm.
conversation similar. It wasn't this year, it was last year. It was like leading up to 2022. I was getting ready to compete in like the NPC shows, and I told Aaron, I was like, if I do well and my feedback's good, then I'm going to go to nationals. And like I I felt bad because we had talked about traveling overseas and like doing overseas trips and different like just more adventurous things. And I'm like, if I qualify, if I do well and I do nationals, like I'm kind of taking that away from us because like that's gonna like you're not gonna want to be on prep in like in Ireland, right? Like that's so hard. And he just looks at me, he's like, no, we'll plan around your shows. It's like they know how important it is to you, and it's
Mhm.
like, no, we'll travel a different. It ended up being completely different, but like that conversation we had. But no, with the kids, as Carson, because my son is 14, he will be 15 next year. I started checking in with him because I'm a mom in a bikini. His friends follow me on social media. His, people he knows, like know my social media and my physique and everything like that. And I've always asked him, I'm like, are you okay? Like, do you care? Like, are you okay that I'm in a bikini? And I didn't put like a negative emphasis on it. I just want to make sure like, he's like okay. And my son is just he's really thick skinned. He's really funny.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, you're just that mom. Like everybody knows like you're my mom and Carson's mom looks like that. And he's like, it's just how it is. And I'm like, okay, as long as you're fine with it, like we're good. But yeah, it
Yeah.
having their support is I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like I tell them all the time, they don't have to travel with me. They don't have to like worry about it. Like I got it. And they're like, no, like we absolutely have to. We have to be there. Like we have to do that for you. But I've seen it. I've seen the dark side of it. I've seen where women it it can go just not such a great place when like you're so proud of yourself, you're proud of your physique, and you're not looking at it as a sexual thing. You're looking at it as like going on
Mhm.
stage to show your tie-ins, to show your roundness and fullness of your glutes and your shoulders and your etched six pack, whatever it may be. And you have a spouse that's like, stop taking pictures of yourself, stop doing that negativity just in your home has to eat you alive. And like it's like you have to differentiate, is this because you dislike the sport, or is it because I'm in an unhealthy relationship where like you're not liking that I like myself? It can get toxic, and it's hard because you got to figure out if it's toxic or not, or if it's just some uncomfortableness. But you just communicate, overly communicate, like,
Yeah.
what is the sport, why are you doing it, what are you wearing, what do you want to achieve? Talk to your friends, talk to your family, let them know what's going on, and like why you're doing it, so they can be prepared, instead of like one day you're like, I'm not eating that, this is what I'm doing, and it's like just like a shocker.
Yeah, and I think too, like I've said this before, like I think sometimes people complain because they want sympathy or they want support, they want someone to tell them they're doing a great job. It's really hard to do that if you aren't in like a equal partnership with the person that you're with. And believe me, like no relationship is perfect, but if you're going into something like this, you're carving out 4 to 8 months, maybe even a whole year dedicated towards the food that you're eating and your habits. Things are going to change. If your dynamic as a couple or as a family has been where, you go out to eat a lot and, maybe there's not activities going on that keep you moving, like it's going to look different. And mom's going to have her cooler with her and, mom isn't going to be able to, stay at fireworks until 1 in the morning. And like I think that
Hmm.
every person just in the family just like has to have the thing that they're passionate about, right? Like even though my husband doesn't ever have any endeavors to compete in fitness, he has passions and hobbies and things that he's interested in that interest me, that I want to talk to him about. I don't expect our
Yeah.
whole conversation to be about competing. And although like we do talk about it a lot, because now he's like, he follows a lot of the Olympians and he understands the sport, but he did that because he wanted to know more about it for me, to support his
Hmm.
partner, because he's really wants it for me too. So I think that's really important, but it can drive couples apart if, maybe they're not happy to begin with. And then
Hmm.
the wife, or if it's the husband, they start getting in better shape. And then if their partner's got no desire to be healthy, well, it's hard to have a healthy relationship if you're not physically healthy. Like, the
Yeah.
foundation of most things in life is being healthy and fit. It is. So, and we hope sometimes that you can inspire others, but you really can't change people. So at the end of the day, of course, you've got to be happy, and your family is very important too. But I think those are considerations a lot of people have when they're looking at competing, and like, hey, our family dynamic has always been like this. Like, I'm the mom running the kids to hockey and cheerleading and soccer and whatever, and I don't prioritize myself. And then it looks different when mom's going to the gym, and mom has a competition coming up. And so it's asking for that support. But I just think
Hmm.
having open communication is really the key there. So maybe that's the biggest takeaway, is just you know having those conversations and talking about what it looks like. And I've actually had consults with the husband on the phone, just to like let him share how he's feeling about it. And
Hmm.
like, I've heard this story about this guy and his wife competed, and then she got fake boobs, and then like she left him. And I'm like, well, they probably weren't like in a good situation
Hmm.
beforehand, because you would hope that
Yeah.
somebody shooting for their dreams and becoming a happier, healthier person, like, would only like help the relationship. So, but yeah, I
Hmm.
think that is sort of like the side of the sport, that changes when if you're single and don't have that to consider. But we talked about this in the last episode, that I think that it's unfortunate when people only have competing, and then maybe they have to take time off to either get healthy or build muscle, and then they look around and they're like, oh, there's nobody here. I'm alone.
Yeah.
you know so
Yeah.
but yeah, fostering relationships is definitely a big one. But I think like one thing that we wanted to talk about is maybe just like the physical changes of what your
Hmm.
body is like when you are looking at competing after children. And I can speak to how it's different, because I competed before babies and after babies. um, but I don't know if you want to kind of share about what that was like for you, getting ready for your first competition. Like, did you start as like, you know, you had kind of followed a general fitness program, or did you just go, I want to compete, and then jump right into training?
So mine was interesting. I didn't initially want to compete. I just never thought of it. Like I never thought it was like
Hmm.
me. Really what it was like when I initially lost like my weight, like again, this was before Instagram, this was before all this stuff. So like I just knew how like if you listen to episode 1, like I kind of go into that. But when I lost the bulk of my weight, I knew, Aaron and I sat down and he's like, well, like what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm not ready to be like a personal trainer. I don't want to be working at a gym. I don't know. And so I had met Ingrid Romero, and because I lived in California, and she won the Arnold way back when. But she's a mom of
Hmm.
twins,
Yeah.
and yeah, super sweet girl. And she had a team, and she's like, I was like, well, I love how she looks, and I like how she's happy and bubbly, and like has her kiddos, and I was like, I want to work with her. So I started working with her, and I told Aaron that's when I like dedicated like my time to do a fitness competition. I was like, well, I'll try it. Like she teaches girls how to do it. She gets girls ready. I like how she looks.
Mm-hmm.
I like her energy. Um, it was really attractive to me. I also, on the complete flip side, loved Dana Lynn Bailey. Like, loved Dana
Mm-hmm.
Lynn Bailey. I knew I could, well, I thought now it's different, but like, I thought I could never look like that. But I just was so like in awe of it, like, just in awe of the dedication. So yeah, really, it was just like, I want to try this. I I have stretch marks really bad on my stomach. They're low because when I was pregnant with my son, he dropped like the last 3 weeks
Mm-hmm.
or something. I mean, he just went bloop, and I just got like super stretch marks. But they're low, so leggings like always cover them. Um, I was a little worried about it, but of course Ingrid's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. So the stretch marks really like bothered me, and I was really uncomfortable with it at first. I didn't have loose skin. Um, but man, like I have stretch marks all down my thighs, on the back of my knees, because I was like 200 pounds when I was pregnant. And once
Mhm.
I like got into the bikini, like I said before, how scared I was, and then when I got on, like, when I got behind stage, backstage, I'm like, oh, like no, we all have stretch marks. We all have something.
Yes.
Like
Everybody
it's
has stretch
okay.
marks.
They do, and
Yeah.
I'm like, or they have scars, or like something, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, this is an aesthetic sport, but this isn't a perfectionist sport. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Like, that's not what this is. So, that was really kind
Right.
of my big thing with my like stretch marks when it comes to like, and I still have cellulite. Like, I always have cellulite around my thighs. That never goes
We all
away.
do. It's fine.
I
Yeah.
know.
You know when it goes away? The morning of the show, it's gone. It's a phenomenon I can't
Sure.
understand. Like, oh, I
That's
wake up,
true.
I'm like, it's gone. Um,
That is
yeah,
true.
well, and I think too, like the tan does cover up a lot. I always tell people, like,
Mm,
I can't promise you everything. Like, but I just trust me, when you get that tan on, it really does cover up a lot of imperfections in the skin. And also, like, man, there's girls with a lot of tattoos now. That was not the
hmm.
case back in the day, but I mean, you see girls with just a full sleeve, like on their stomach, all down their legs, everything.
Yeah.
So, ultimately they're evaluating the shape. So that's like
Hmm.
the most important. But I think too, with the loose skin concern, what I find in a lot of my clients is they just need time to build,
Hmm.
particularly if they have loose skin on their backside, because muscle atrophies. And as we get
Hmm.
older, we have to strength train and we have to, be really cognizant of getting enough protein so that we can combat aging. Um, so I would almost say that like I had an easier time as I got older versus when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, God, I remember sprinting up hills in 110-degree weather to try to cut weight.
Oh.
I think I was just, my hormones were different. Very when you're very fertile and you're young, and just I think also I didn't have as much muscle as I do now because I've been in the sport for a long time. I've been training for, gosh, like 28 years now. I've been like lifting weights like literally since high school. Um, only
And you
competing
look
for
amazing.
19
Like,
years. Well, I think too, like the weight training is like the fountain of youth.
it
So I
is.
really
It
think that
is.
that's helped. My metabolism is better now than it was when I was younger. I just think too, like as I've gotten older, I have more balance in my life. Like I sound old, but I'm like, and all my friends were all kind of the same. It's like, oh, it's like past my bedtime. Do we really have to go to the cheerleading gym at 9 o'clock for a meeting? Like
Hmm.
it's like sleep is so important, but I have more balance in my life. Like I don't drink to the point of getting drunk. I'm in bed at a regular time. I don't have like a lot of toxic, crazy shit going on in my life. Like things are just different now. So I do
Hmm.
feel like, I have definitely, I'm like my lifestyle is lined up for success much more than when I was 20. So I feel like being older is an
Hmm.
advantage. Um, and that's just me, but I think looking at my body, probably the thing that I've had to battle the most has been my core strength. And that's something that I've had to work on a lot because I'm really short. I had really big babies, and like my ribs and my hips nearly almost touch. So when I lost the baby weight, I was just like straight up and down, wide waist
Hmm.
that matched the width of my hips. And in bikini, they do like that hourglass shape. So
Hmm.
just doing lots of research and finding what works for me. I like live in a waist trainer, which has been great, supports my back, but also helps with just contouring my shape. And I do
Hmm.
non-traditional core work. I like never do planks or like any regular core work, all stomach vacuums just to really help keep my core tight. So that's been like really the biggest thing for me. So when, people talk about their stomach post baby, I'm like, well, there's so much information and so many
Yeah.
helpful resources for that now that there really wasn't when I had my first baby. Like he'll be 16 in February and there like wasn't anything like that. I don't even think like the Sweet Sweat waist trainer was around then, which is really just like a sauna belt. Um, but I remember wrapping myself in like saran wrap and then putting preparation
Yeah.
H on my stomach and then running up and down hills like a crazy person.
uh,
So I think I look more like a bodybuilder now than I did then.
mm,
And that's, the sport has changed. And I think there's more information now too. Like, if somebody is, 35 and they had their last baby and now they're really looking to compete, like this is the time. There's so many more shows, there's so many more resources, there's good coaches.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's a lot of inspiration. Like you'll see on our show, all the people that are going to come on that have
Mhm.
crazy stories of overcoming adversity and raising families and having babies and then getting on stage in the same year. I think that's amazing. So yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I've seen that when I expedite. I've met women that have like had a baby that year and then they're stepping on stage and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." I've met women that have like 4 or 5 kids and I thought they were like 25 and they're like doing
Yeah.
masters. And like people ask like I even posted a joke about it on um Facebook because some of the gym girlies I meet all the time, a group of them the other day was they're just like, I cannot believe you're going to be 35. And the look on their face, I'm like, whenever you're weightlifting and doing resistance training for so long, obviously you're going to eat more protein. Like it's kind of hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? And protein is just so good for us. It's the elasticity and the
Mm-hmm.
collagen. And then of course we're going to want to drink more water. So like we're going to be hydrated, like our skin, our hormones are going to be regulated better. Even like competing aside, just like these things that intertwine with each other, like it's the fountain of youth. It's just all together in a
Yeah.
combination that's going to make you look younger. But I think something you touched on
Mm-hmm.
with being older as well, that is like I I can speak volumes to, is your support system. So like
Mm-hmm.
not just your husband and your kid or your partner, but I like being older, like you have a friend group or circle or gym people, whatever community. Usually you have multiple, you have work people, you have gym people, neighborhood people, you have different groups, as you're older. And, same with you probably like you have cheer moms, you have all that. But as you get older, and you explain like what you're doing, they want to go to bed earlier. They may want to know what you're doing because they want to be healthier. They're curious,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you lost like 10 pounds in so many like months. Like, what are some of the little things you did? They care and they'll
Mm-hmm.
help you in their own way, which is amazing. They'll show up for you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be there for you. Like it's fascinating because when I was 20, like, no, like, just no. Like, the fact that I've never been like a big drinker. I don't drink at all anymore, but like back in the day, like I was just like an okay drinker, I guess. It was expensive. I was a broke 20 some odd year old. Um, I was so broke. Um, but and all my money went to raising my kid. So like I couldn't like
Mm-hmm.
going to the bar was like hard. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's like all my friends would go to the bar and they all made time for it and they would stay out late and they would do that. And I'd be like, well, I kind of want to go to the gym. And they were like, no. And I just wouldn't get invited to stuff. They wouldn't show up for me. Um, it was completely opposite. And when you're older, you have like these groups that care. They care about you and they care about your
Mhm.
health. And it's so meaningful. Like that
Yeah.
to me, getting older and doing this sport like, is phenomenal. Like I love that so
Yeah.
much with my
The
friends. I
community
love
too.
them.
Like
Hmm.
I thought you were going to say when you were younger, because this was my experience, was like the gatekeeping. When you were younger, it was almost like, and I do see this in some of my younger girls that they just like, they can't stop comparing themselves to other people and they're on their phones and they're looking at what this girl's doing. And, and then like, someone at the gym would, have some top secret thing that they were doing. They wouldn't tell anybody. And it's not like that when you get older. It's just like, oh, you got a show coming up. Oh, you look great. When are you competing? Oh, I'm doing that show too. Oh, I can't wait
Yeah.
to see you backstage. When you're backstage, it's like, oh, I got an extra rice cake. Like it's so different when you're older. Like, okay, there's always going to be bitches because there just is. But
There's always going to be
more
dicks.
now, yeah, there's always going to be dicks. But, oh, I'm losing my headphones. Get it
You got
together,
a little excited.
Jillian. Okay,
You got a little
I'm back.
excited. There's
It
always going to be
slid off
people
of
that
my hair. This is the cleanest my hair has been in a real long time.
it's like
Okay.
super sleek.
Oh, well, people can't always see this because this is okay. If you're listening, my headphones just fell off of my super
And if
shiny
you're
hair.
watching, it would only be
Um,
on YouTube if you're watching.
then you saw. No, a side note, like I only wash my hair like once a week. It's
Hmm.
so gross. I'm sure dudes are like, these girls are canceled. That's disgusting. But I'm not really a sweaty person. I'm just not like
Hmm.
my head doesn't sweat, my face doesn't sweat. Like I leave the gym, my makeup looks just like it did. And I'll be sweating like well, not really. I don't know. I'm just not a sweaty person, but yeah, I can go a long time. But my hair is really growing because I'm, good to it now. But today was
Hmm.
hair wash day, and it is shiny. So my headphones
Yeah.
didn't adhere to my head like they usually do.
Just be
But yeah,
careful.
we're
Don't
saying,
slide
yeah,
up.
dicks. There's always dicks specs. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you do get those nasty girls backstage, but I'm always like, man, that's all their stuff, and I guess if they're
Yeah.
being, unkind to other people, then they're probably just nervous as shit. Everybody handles show day differently, but it is so
Hmm.
nice when you meet people backstage and then, you follow each other on social media and then you see them, they're doing well and then they get
Hmm.
their pro card and, and you cheer people on. I think that's awesome. I mean, that's how all the guests on this show came to be. They're all people that I met backstage at shows that you're all there doing the same thing and the judges
Hmm.
decide who wins. Like it's not up to us. So you might as well just have a good time and dance around and make friends, right?
Right? Like for every like cranky bitchy girl you meet, there's like 20, 30 nice girls. Like it's like I've
Yeah.
both of us have been backstage countless of times at this point. So it's like there's only a few and usually if they're cranky, they're isolating themselves or if they make like a comment, it's like
Hmm.
so there's so many there's it's just so positive backstage. Like it's very
Yeah.
um it's not like taken well. Like it's just like, oh, whatever, you dancy, have a good time. Like that's really what it
Yeah.
is. I've
I
never
think
heard of
maybe
I didn't
that's
think
her
about the
getting older
gatekeeping
too.
thing though. I
Oh
didn't think
yeah.
about the
Just like,
gatekeeping.
there's like some secret supplement
Hmm.
or, something and just like, people keep it top secret. Like really, if it's, one
I
minor
do
thing
like
is never, it's never like one thing that changes the outcome of a prep. Like I hear that all the time, like, what's the one secret you have? I'm like, consistency. Like there's so many things that go into prep
yeah.
and it's never just like that. Oh, there's that one thing that really changed the game for me. Like it was mostly all mindset stuff. It was never like, oh, there's this awesome cream or this crazy vitamin or this crazy fat burner. Like
Hmm.
that's never it. I think that when people are searching for those things, though, that does show a lack of maturity, really, because once you've done this long enough, you kind of know like it doesn't ever come down to like one little thing like that.
Yeah.
Like there's all kinds of things that can help, and certainly we can do an episode on supplements. I'd almost rather not though, because that's just like such a
Well,
a
everybody's
huge
different.
one.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
everybody's different. Like, it is a maturity thing. But, like, when it comes to supplements or it comes to, like, just anything, like, if you're on PEDs or whatever the case may be, like, everybody's different. And that's, again, like another thing about getting older. Cause I know when I was younger, I didn't give a shit about my hormones. I didn't get anything checked. I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about blood work. I just, like, did what I was supposed to do. And it, like now I get my blood work. I just got my blood work checked. What was it last weekend? I think I told you last week.
Mhm.
I get my blood work checked
Yeah.
every 4 months. So I will do it off season. Where are my levels right before start of on season? And
Mhm.
then now I just got it checked again. And based on what like my hormones say, because I'm a natural competitor right now. And I say
Mhm.
that right now because like I hate to close that window because like do you ever want to do it? Who knows? But right now I'm natural. So with that though, I check my hormones to see like what supplement could possibly help with this and what natural
Yeah.
way could I possibly like keep this great. And it's worked awesome for me. And women need to check their hormones because you never know if your thyroid is acting up, or if your testosterone is low, are you having, progesterone, estrogen issues? And like you need to be able to check those and work with like somebody to like make sure you're healthy before even worrying about losing all of this fat or losing all of this weight. Like what's the healthiest
Right.
route for you?
And I'll just say this, and I really want for women to just feel empowered and not to be scared because I think that when we
Hmm.
start talking about hormones, people get really nervous. They like see dollar signs flashing in front of their eyes. They're very afraid of like getting, bad advice or sort of like opening Pandora's box and like what am I walking into? But the fact is that we do not stay the same. And that's okay.
Hmm.
And honestly, we need to celebrate it because it's going to happen to all of us. Every
Hmm.
woman is going to go through menopause. Some women go through it earlier than others. It does not matter, but you need to empower yourself with knowledge. Your doctor is not going to do your lab work for you. He's going to tell you if you have anemia or a
Hmm.
disease, but they're not going to check your hormones. And that's okay. They have a purpose. Our doctors are there for a purpose. You need to go an alternate route. It doesn't have to cost you $1 million. You just have to get good
Mhm.
information. And I can link in the show notes some people that I find to be reputable companies that I've worked with, where they can get you like the basic female hormonal panel to understand where your body is. And why that's important is because things changed. We don't have the same hormones that we had when we were 20 or 25 or 30, which is great,
Mhm.
right? Like we want to be, aging gracefully, but if we just are, ignorant about it and we don't think it's going to happen to us, then we might not be optimal, and we might be spending a ton of time and money on shit that doesn't work because we didn't get the right information. So please don't go to
Mhm.
your OB/GYN and ask for blood work, because they're not going to be able to help you with what we're talking about. And that's
Mhm.
okay. But also, it isn't a ridiculous investment, because I remember when I was first looking into getting my blood work done, I'm like, here we fucking go. Like, it's going to cost so much money, and they're going to be putting shots in me and all this stuff that I'm like, and I didn't feel bad. I just wanted to make sure like that I was optimal. Like, I was in my
Mhm.
40s, and, I just wanted to empower myself with the right information. And it's been great just to see where I'm at and to know that my body's in a place to go into something aggressive, like getting ready for a competition. So please, please, please don't be scared, but also don't be ignorant, and not take a look at where you're at. Cause I think it's
Mhm.
important. Like, so many people battle things that they can take care of with just a few tweaks to the foods that they're eating, their lifestyle. Like, can't tell you how many times I've worked with clients that had cortisol issues, and they're just running themselves into the ground, sprinting,
Mhm.
doing HIIT, not getting enough sleep, super, super stressed, cutting calories. And they just don't know why they can't lose fat, and why they feel
Yep.
awful, and they're tired all the time. And all we had to do was just look and see what was going on, to see, hey,
Mhm.
we should not be pushing right now. This is going to make things way worse. And that cortisol trickles all into other areas of your health, and it can start to
Yep.
impact your hormones, your thyroid, all these other things. Like, this is high level stuff that I don't want to go into in this episode. But what I'm saying is just be smart, and ask questions. Like, if somebody is talking on their Instagram about their hormones, send them a message. They want you to ask them, and they're happy to
Mhm.
provide their, resources, and share with you, because they're like us and they want to help other people feel good and be optimal.
Yeah. And when you find like you're saying, you can put in the show notes, like I have a clinic that I use too. But like if as
Yeah,
soon as you
put yours in there
find
too.
one, yeah, as soon as you get your labs done, you don't be scared, get it done and look at them. The biggest thing is communicate what is going on. Because when they go over the labs with you, any good clinic will do this. If when they go over that
Hmm.
with you, they'll ask you questions. They'll be like, "How is your sleep? How is Are you really hot? Are you really cold? Are you restless? Like, do you get headaches? Do you have energy crashes?" They want to know that because like even though like these levels might be in optimal like American standard health ranges, that doesn't mean they're optimal for you. And
Exactly.
let's say like you let's say you're having like low energy or something's happening with you and you're wanting to build muscle. Well, they're going to notice like your thyroid, your T3, T4 might not be optimal. So they might recommend something. They
Hmm.
might, be like, hey, not necessarily like anything prescription. They could just recommend a supplement that could possibly help you. And you could start taking a supplement and see dramatic improvement. You could not have those energy
Yeah.
crashes, but communicate what your goal kind of is and how you're feeling because they need to know that because even though it says optimal, it may not be optimal for you. You could need it
Right.
higher, you could need it something lower, but they don't know that unless like you talk and you say like what you want and like what's going on with you. That's a big one. I learned that like
Yeah.
yeah.
A good practitioner is going to treat the patient and not the numbers. And that's
Mhm.
really the problem with just going and having your thyroid checked, or, what's my estrogen? Like, they're not going to treat like how you're feeling. And again, it's not their fault. Like, it's just we're
Mhm.
looking at a different sort of healing and therapy, right? So you really want to look into either a functional medicine doctor or a clinic that specifically helps with aging and hormones and vitality. Like, and they will typically look at what your goals are and how you're feeling. And most good reputable places will talk to you about lifestyle factors first before they ever recommend any supplements or peptides or whatever it is that they offer. Everyone's a little
Hmm.
bit different. I think peptides are actually going out. There's a new FDA regulation on those. But it's just important and certainly like Mandy will link hers, I'll link mine,
Hmm.
look at both of them, ask questions. But, it's important as we get older to just, make sure that we're taking really, really good care of ourselves and not being ignorant to what is going on in our bodies. And the truth is
Hmm.
that if you stay on top of it, then you're just going to live a youthful and more fulfilling, happy, healthy life, versus just
You're
like,
gonna look
oh,
great, feel great.
yeah, like, just think about what is normal and what doesn't feel normal, and part of that just happens naturally. As we,
Hmm.
approach menopause, there's lots of changes that happen, and you're not alone. I think more people are starting to talk about it at least, but I think bodybuilders are more savvy because our hormones are really important because of how extreme the lifestyle is in our later parts of prep. And certainly for someone like you, Mandy, you're talking about extending your season all the way from March to the end of summer. Like that's a really long time. And being smart about your hormones is just going to keep you really healthy so that when
Hmm.
you are done competing for the year, you don't come out with a big mess to clean up. I think that that's
Yeah.
not a good situation to be in.
Yeah. I've definitely been there before where
So,
all my hormones were like bottomed out and I just didn't know
yeah.
until I checked. And I worked through
Hmm.
that and a lot of it I healed all of it with food just over time. Like just slowly over
Yeah.
time. Got everything back to normal and raised everything for took a while, but with food. So,
Yeah,
but
that's the same for me when I went through my gut issues, which I'll
mm,
tell you, that was really because I was ignoring how I was feeling. I was super, super stressed, and there was just a lot of stuff going on, and I was really, really busy, and I was pushing too hard. I hadn't had a long enough break and ended up with all these gut issues and went for a ton of tests. You're fine, everything's fine. They just thought I was crazy. Um, and I tried,
mhm,
different things with my diet and all these different, enzymes, laxatives, stools, like all this stuff just to try to fix my bloating. And it wasn't until I really just looked at, my lifestyle and knew I needed to just like chill out and get more
yeah.
rest and lower my stimulants. And it was just all little easy stuff. No medicine. I paid for all that testing. I mean, I had insurance, but you still have to pay. Like, even if you have insurance, you
Yeah.
still pay for that stuff. But just even the time, like there was, things I had to prep for where I had to like drink certain fluids and eat certain foods. And that was like time I had to take off training and, just trying to find answers. So I think learning
Mhm.
about your body and being an advocate for yourself is really important. Um, and so I think that maybe that comes with aging too. And maybe we're just, we're more in tune with ourselves as we get older and
Yeah.
after having children. So,
Yeah. One thing,
yeah.
we have all these great things about like starting the stage and everything as you get older and just like knowing that you can do it when you're older and it doesn't have to be when you're younger. And
Mhm.
I would say one common like negative I hear, like misconception, I would say, and it goes back to mindset. It goes back to like prioritizing your time is when you do want to do a competition or you do want to prioritize yourself to be able to reach a goal. I feel like as moms, we worry about selfishness. We worry about, well, we're
Mhm.
going to be putting ourselves before our kids. We're going to be putting ourselves before like our spouses. We're going to be putting ourselves before all of these things and I can't do it and it's bad. And I feel like we're finally getting to a place in this like day and age where it's like no, like you can ask for help or you can wake up earlier or stay up later
Mhm.
or carve out an hour of your time where you just tell everybody to like F off and like, this is me. This is when I'm going to do my yoga. This is when I'm going to do my weightlifting. This is when I'm going to do my cardio.
Mhm.
And you do it with it and
Mhm.
you just do it because we're learning that like as we do those things we're happier individuals and if we're happier individuals we're going to give more and we're going to have a happier
Exactly.
vibe and then if we have a happier vibe
Mhm.
then our kids and our spouses and our people are going to be like yay go you but it's it's such a selfish but not selfish sport and just I don't feel like if I could tell all the women out there that ever want to like think about competing or starting to go to the gym and weightlifting and they're worried about their time management, it's not selfish. It's so healthy for you. You'll live longer for your
Right.
family. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll just all of these positive things. So that's one like common negative thing I hear, that like you just want to be like, no, it's not that. Like it's not. It's good. It's okay.
I do think that sometimes women worry about that. If they have the dream of doing it, then they've thought about how does it look in my lifestyle? And they might just
Mhm.
need good guidance to show them how it can be done. Like, oh, wait a minute. Like, yeah, I can just go to the gym before anybody gets up. Like maybe it just hadn't occurred to them, or maybe they're like, can I really do that? And then they see other people doing it and they can. But if there is like
Mhm.
that negativity around it, it's typically it's resent. It's really just like, maybe somebody who hasn't figured out how to do it, or they really don't have the drive because it's not that important to them. So they're going to knock someone else for doing it.
Mhm.
So I think we are kind of seeing people like not say that it's selfish. And if that is being said, it's really just coming from not a great place. But
Mhm.
certainly when a new competitor joins our team and they're kind of worried about how they're going to carve it out, we're there to guide them and help them with scheduling and show them how we do it. And here's how I make chicken for the week in 45 minutes. Like,
Mhm.
it's new, right? They're all skills, and these are all things that you can learn how to do. And once you get used to it, it's so easy. It's honestly, it's easier than not knowing what to eat. I prefer like prep foods
Yeah.
because I don't have to think about it. I know exactly what I'm having, and when I'm running out of something, I know exactly what I need to buy. And so, but certainly we want to be a resource to make it easier for you, because when
Mhm.
we were learning how to do this years ago, we didn't have all these resources. There wasn't even, I don't even know what a podcast was. It didn't exist. There was no podcast in 20
Yeah, I don't
or
there wasn't.
2001, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
I
wonder
think
when
that the
podcasts came
information's out
out.
there. So, oh, I don't know.
Hmm.
We're here now, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Good times.
So, yeah. Well, I think we covered a
Mhm.
lot there, but really, I
Yeah.
mean, ask away, where we'd love to get feedback and be able to answer those questions of things that you are specifically hoping to learn from us. And we're going to have some
Mhm.
great experts and some great stories on the show to keep you inspired, and us too. I can't wait to hear, their stories and learn from them as well.
Yeah. It'll be truly inspiring to hear from people that have
It
like really
will.
achieved just so much while going and doing
Mhm.
so much, because like as we know what it's like, and you guys out there know what it's like to juggle everything, but to like just work your ass off to get up there. So it is exciting.
Mhm.
But yeah, we definitely did cover quite a bit today, and it's about to be Christmas next week. So I know we have
I
so much stuff going on.
know.
I know next Monday is Christmas. So that's nuts.
Oh God.
I yeah.
It just snuck up
So
on us. It does this every year, but we've had a lot of
mhm.
travel and stuff. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's
Mhm.
already here. But it'll be great.
Yeah.
Good times with family. And I still have one little one that believes in all the magic of
Oh, that's
Christmas. So
magical.
yeah, we still like
I have
do
to
the
like pay
elf,
my
and
teen to do it.
our little Chloe keeps Christmas alive. So it's really exciting. Like we were writing labels for gifts and trying to figure out which ones were from Santa. And I'm like, I don't know. Like we have to be careful that we don't put it in the same wrapping paper. And, it's still so
Oh,
fun to have those, those things. Um, yeah. So I'm excited.
my
It'll be fun.
husband's like, excuse me, no, I'm Santa. I'm taking all the credit. Stop it. Santa's magical. The boys do a good job of like feeding
The
into
Amazon
my
man is
like,
Santa right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. But all right, guys. Well, I think we covered everything, and go, let us know, like Jillian said, feedback, and give us a thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. And I guess until next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the big day, after Christmas.
After Christmas, we'll
One final
see.
episode of 2023.
Yes, that is very true. We'll have to come up with a good one.
Yeah.
But all right, guys,
We will.
we're out.